This is an audio recording of an X space courtesy of thecoinrepublic.com, the go-to place where you can keep up to date with what's happening in the crypto space.
Take the first step towards online privacy. Get NordVPN.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming in. This is Crypto Pulse. We do this once a week. I am Crypto Rich, and I'm hosting this space courtesy of the Coin Republic. Now, the Coin Republic is a crypto news website, thecoinrepublic.com, and I recommend you go follow them on X, and you go check out their website so you can keep up to date with all the happenings in the crypto world. Now, I have a very, very special guest, but before I introduce her, I just want to give a disclaimer that nothing that I say here or anywhere ever should be taken as financial advice. Please, 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 please do not go and sell all your children and your household and all your wealth and your assets and go and put it into any recommendation that I or anyone else over the internet may ever make. Don't put in any more than you can afford to lose. None of this is financial advice, okay? Now, I have a very, very special guest, someone who's actually featured on my channel 3 times, not enough times. She will be back more, and she will be back again. And she's from the United States, and she's going to be talking about a particular model that you can use, that we can all use to access, so that to give us an edge when it comes to cryptocurrencies, when it comes to financial investments, when it comes to money, but also when it comes to personal matters. Did you want to say just a little? I've already done an introduction about you. Do you want to say in a few sentences a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go into the whole topic?
Yeah, I do crypto consulting, where I help people who want to get into crypto or just have other troubleshooting issues that they need help with. And I also do astrology for crypto, where I analyze the markets using astrology, and I do I look at people's personal birth charts and help them with their trading, when's a good time for them to trade, using different planets in their charts and how it's aspecting their natal chart to see the best times for them for the most profitable time periods in their lives personally.
Okay. And is that a successful strategy? Does it work?
You know, it is, because the market could be having a fantastic bull run, but if there's something going on in your chart that is challenging, you could be trying to make a successful trade, but it doesn't work out for you on your own personal end due to the energies that are surrounding you. So yeah, it is, because we all try to profit at the best times, enter trades, exit trades, set up our trades. But like I said, if there's something going on in your chart that's not allowing the energies to fulfill themselves, it does help. It really does, because one person could be having these perfect transits and they make all these gains, and then you try to copy the same exact strategy and it doesn't work out for you. It would be something occurring in your birth chart that would signify why that is not working out, like why that strategy didn't work out for you the same way as somebody else.
Right.
So yeah, it definitely works. Astrology works in so many ways.
Okay, we'll get into the science of astrology. And how that works and everything in a moment, right? And I use the term science quite particularly. But first, I want to ask you, when did you get into crypto yourself? I
started getting into crypto around 2013. I believe it was around Mt. Gox, around that time period. It's when I first heard about it. Started looking into what is this, because when I first looked at crypto, I'm like, what is this? I do not understand the concept or anything about it, and I don't know, it just kept popping up more and more on my radar, and I'm like, all right, this is something that could be something in the future, and it is.
Right. Okay, so it was a few months, because I found out about Bitcoin in 2012.
Okay.
There wasn't much information at the time, and it was $5. I wish. Don't we all wish?
I know, yeah, I do
too. I waited till it was $15, and then I still didn't buy enough, right?
I know.
Yeah. Now, when did you get into astrology?
I've always been into astrology, but I really got serious with astrology probably around the same time. I just didn't look at astrology and crypto together. I was looking at it more for myself personally. I was going through some things, and I just turned to astrology to help navigate the choppy waters of life.
Right.
And from doing so, I learned about it by learning about myself and my chart, and then just obsessively studying it to understand more about myself.
Right. And in your story, your account sort of matches my own. Because there's the astrology in the newspapers, right? That if you're Pisces, your day will be like this. If you're Sagittarius, which I
Yeah.
think is complete bunkum.
Yeah.
It's like they're going to the mainstream media to get financial advice.
Yeah, exactly.
Invest in, buy pounds, not euros or whatever. Yeah, right. That's how superficial that nonsense is, right? So I think the astrology in the newspapers is the same. But for me, it was through a personal crisis. But actually, the anguish was caused by what was going on in terms of lockdown. That all of a sudden the world changed,
Yep.
and how I thought it was going to go in the direction of life. It was like, oh my God, the old rules didn't apply, and I got curious because I was looking for something to some way of making sense of what was going on. And you and I mentioned this in the last video you and I recorded, which is posted on my channel, about the financial chaos that's incoming, or growing rather, right? It's getting
Yeah.
more and more
Yeah,
big.
it's intensifying.
That you and I, we have benefited from Bitcoin because we were open-minded.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
We were both willing to set aside our notions of money and currency and wealth to explore this whole new paradigm. And I'm saying that as an invitation to everybody here who's listening to this to put to one side whatever notions you have about what is science and what are valid forms of knowledge. And then from putting all of that stuff to one side, you can pick it up later. Take a look at this. Try it on. See if it fits. See if it's useful. You can authentically try it on. See if it's useful. And if it is, run with it. And if it isn't, okay. But at least you've authentically tried it on. Because I think that's where we get power and where we get to grow. By being curious, by willing to discover and inquire into hitherto undiscovered corners of knowledge.
Yes, definitely. And it's not unfortunate, but it's I feel like it's those challenges in life that push us out of our comfort zone to find and look for those, darker shadows in life, to explore those, darker areas that we're unsure of, to help us grow and, get better.
That makes sense, because it's in those moments we realize that the models that we had been using are insufficient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They ain't helping us out here. So let's try on something new. Okay, so let's talk a bit about astrology, and then we'll move to astrology and crypto and Trump's tariffs and Bitcoin and the world that's coming, right? So come on, astrology really, like Neptune moving into Aries is going to have an impact on me? Are you off your rocker, Lauren? And for the Indians listening, aap pagal ho gaye? Have you gone crazy?
I think we all feel like we're going crazy to an extent.
Okay, so give us the basic grounding. Like, come on, seriously, we're influenced by the planets. Come on.
Well, I mean, I guess you could see that March 30th is when Neptune went into Aries. Speaking about Neptune, it's in October it goes back into Pisces for a little while, then it moves back into Aries in January 2026. But we can see around the eclipse time that things really shifted. Markets, they took a dive, some of them, but we could see the narrative of everything has been shifting. It's like everything is just different, especially with the tariffs. Those are, putting a real big, those are the spotlight in the news, but things are just heating up. Talks of war with this country, that country, new alliances with different countries. Things are changing at a rapid rate. And even personally, you can take it to, in your life, like what's been going on since mid-March, what's been changing, what's been shifting, and Neptune will most likely have a huge part of that. It's a big shift in all societies, macro and micro.
But how? Why?
Well, Neptune, first of all, it's a very slow planet.
I'm going to stop you. Not going into Neptune, but what are the basic principles that underpin astrology as a viable science?
It has to do with, okay, so the planet's energies influence Earth's energies. You know, we travel with the sun in space. All the planets do. We're in this gravitational pull in space. But whether you believe like an electric theory universe or not, we're all connected. All the energies of all the planets are connected. And people, life, we are influenced by these energies as well. So when you are born, you're born with this blueprint or imprint of where the planets were in the sky when you were born, and that energy follows you throughout your life. And how the planets move when you're living alive on this earth influence that blueprint. It's like a house. You know, you build a house, you build it in a certain location, and then the weather comes and, you know, there's a hurricane, it could blow it down. There's a flood, it will flood the house out. It's the same thing with astrology. We'll call it space weather. The space weather influences yourself, your energies, personality, and every aspect of life.
That's a really great way of explaining it. I know in England today, I think it's where I am in England, it's clear blue skies, 21 degrees C, which is what, 72 degrees Fahrenheit for the Americans.
That's a nice
and it's nice, right? It's not too hot. And I imagine people in Delhi and Karachi and stuff, which is in Pakistan, are going to be suffering already, right? Oh my God, we wish it was 21 degrees, right? But people like it. We feel good.
Yep.
We feel good. We like this kind of weather. So I like the weather thing. We don't like grey, drizzly days. Nobody likes them.
Yeah.
There's too many of them in England, right? So I can get that. And I just want to add something to what you said, and which is Western knowledge is within a paradigm, a context influenced by Descartes. And Descartes was this philosopher. I can't remember when it was, right? But he came up with his notion was that the only things that are worthy of study are those that can be divided and counted. And that gave rise to Western thought, which is Cartesian thought, that it's all materialistic and mechanistic. And then we have Cartesian thought shaping Newtonian mechanics, and then some sort of return through Einsteinian science and quantum mechanics, but it's still from a Cartesian Newtonian view of the world, which is distinct from the view of the world in other parts of the world, which have a holistic view. You know, whether it's shamanic traditions or Vedic traditions or Chinese traditions or Japanese traditions, that we are all part of the world of one wholeness, and that the notion that we're separate is an illusion. Now, I don't claim any mastery on this. I don't meditate or anything, right? But it kind of makes sense. And that we're all different concentrations of energy. So the planet Neptune is a particular concentration of energy, and the planet Earth is a particular concentration of energy, and then there's a particular concentration of energy in between, which may ripple and fluctuate according to the movements of the other forms of energy within our solar system. And then we got, you know, I'm on really, really thin ground here, right? I'm on thin ice. It's going to get even thinner, but I'm going to make some allusions to the Yuga cycles and everything, which I don't know much about, but I'm learning, and credit to the great Indian philosophers who have given us this body of knowledge. So I can get that if I set aside the limits of Cartesian Newtonian thought, that we're all energy, and Bitcoin, gold and silver, is just the tokenized forms of energy.
Yep. Yes. 100%. Yeah. Everything I guess you could think of is essentially energy. You know, even rocks have energy. Slow, but you know, everything. You know, macrocosm, microcosm. Everything is a part of everything, feeding off of each other, influencing each other. It's, you know, it can get really deep with it.
Yes. So then, so you know, talk about prana or chi or ki or life force or whatever it is, right? Okay. So now let's let's leave the ethereal and come back down to earth. And what's happening in the money markets? So you're saying Neptune moving into Aries, and we have all this chaos going on, including Trump's tariffs. So what's the astrology foretelling with regards to Trump's tariffs and Bitcoin and crypto?
Well, I took a look at the chart of the United States because, I needed a foundation of something to refer to. So that's, the blueprint of the United States. And that astrology lines up with exactly what's going on. The tariffs were announced April 2nd. I mean, the plans were in the works before that, but they were announced April 2nd. And the United States has Mercury and Saturn in a transit or aspect with each other. They're in a trine. And it just speaks about trading, domestic affairs, protecting the homeland in order to, with tariffs against other countries, but to better the United States. Because the eclipse happened in the fourth house of the United States, which is the domestic home front. So the fact that these tariffs are occurring now and the transit between Mercury and Saturn, it's just showing that it's drawing boundaries, drawing lines in the sand to make the country better for the people here. It does also show some challenges with these tariffs, because we have Saturn, again, which is in the United States' third house in Pisces, and it's opposite to natal Neptune in the 10th house, the 9th house, excuse me. And that speaks about, because natal Neptune's at the top of the chart, it's talking about affairs with foreign countries, places that are overseas, because Neptune also rules the water. So it's highlighting the tariffs, Mercury and Saturn, and the influence on foreign countries, foreign relations. It's a strain with foreign countries, foreign relations. It's drawing new friendships and alliances with different countries. Who's on what side, who's for these tariffs, who's against these tariffs, who's speaking out against these tariffs. And another thing, back to Neptune moving into Aries, that is, I feel it's pretty significant, so many levels, but with these tariffs, it is sparking revolutionary energies, pushback energies, and that goes for the countries. But it also affects the people of the actual countries, not just the governments. It's the people, it's the prices of things increasing, because we also have Uranus involved in here in Taurus, which does speak about inflation. It's getting towards the last degrees of Taurus, so it's really ramping up the inflation. And while I do feel for the United States, the way it's playing out looks good, but there's, again, also these challenges that will spark some trade issues, trade wars, we could say, and not just affecting the country, but the actual people, I feel, will have the biggest brunt of the effects.
Okay, but okay. Now I'm going to push back a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could tell you that in the outcome, what's going to happen anyway,
mm-hmm.
right? Just from looking at the economic indicators, Trump imposes these tariffs, and I understand why he's doing it, in order to bring back manufacturing to the United States, and also to level the playing field, where countries impose tariffs on U.S. U.S. imports to their own countries, but get entry into the U.S. market free of tariffs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, no, wait a minute, this is not a fair playing field, right? So we're going to level the playing field.
Yep.
And then, so if countries want to sell to American consumers, which is still the largest consumer market in the world, well, they're going to have to make their products within the United States, and which means building factories in the United States. But the tariffs are going to increase costs for American citizens, because things that are imported are going to cost more. So that's going to give rise to inflation, because prices are going to bump up.
Mm-hmm.
And, businesses that are based in the United States are going to have to raise their prices, because whatever they import is going to cost more. So then the consumers are going to have to pay more, and they're going to have to increase their wage demands in order to meet the increased costs for the things they want to buy. So it's creating this spiral, and then people are going to get angry.
Yep.
Because the biggest thing that makes a difference to people and their relationship to government is what happens to their wallets.
Oh, yes.
So you are going to have more and more of a pushback. I can get that. So isn't it like with astrology, what you've got here is confirmation bias?
Pretty much, yeah. Yes. And that's what I was looking for. I was looking for the confirmation of what was going on. But yeah, it pretty much, it paints that entire picture in the chart when the tariffs were announced. And I use when the tariffs were announced because we'll say that's when it was put into the universe. You know, it's announcing, here it is. This is the event. Being announced is the event of when it started. So yeah, it outlines that perfectly.
All right. So then how can astrology give an edge? Does it give an edge? How can it give an edge when it comes to Bitcoin and crypto?
Yes, we just would look to the future dates. Like we would look past. Look past April 2nd. You know, we could look past to, you know, you could look at the new moons, full moons, just different larger celestial events to give a headway of bigger events occurring that will make a bigger difference within societies, for people too, but within societies. So we have this upcoming square mid-April. I want to say it begins the 16th. It's around the full moon, actually. And that, I don't know if we want to go into crypto or any, okay. So this is going to affect all financial markets, but it's a square. It's called a Grand Cross Square, where there's 4 planets. 2 of them are opposite to each other, and then there's another 2 that are opposite to each other, and those 4 planets are forming this tension all between each other. And that tension is enclosed, so nothing can get through it, nothing can overcome it. And for the crypto market, we could say that.
Okay, Lauren, hold on a second. Hold on a second. I'm just trying to create this image, right? Yep. Because we are on a podcast. So if I think of, and forgive me here if this falls apart, right? But you know what you and I as human beings do, we take new forms of knowledge and try and fit it in to what we already know.
Okay. Yep.
So I invite everybody in order to make sense of things, right? So invite everybody here to do the same. And the model that I have, if I imagine a clock, and at 12 o'clock there's a particular magnet that's pointing down to 6 o'clock, where there's another magnet that's in opposition.
Yep.
And then at 3 o'clock and at 9 o'clock, there are these other magnets that are facing off each other.
Yes.
And so then you've got this energy in the form of a cross. And it creates, what you're saying is some sort of energetic tension that nothing else can overcome. It's very overpowering.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yep. Because, and all that, the 12, the 6, the 3, and the 9, they're all, it's a square, but they're all like connected together. So nothing is able to get through this, like an imaginary line. Like nothing can get through this line of energy.
Okay. Please carry on.
So this is occurring. And the planets that are involved, it's the sun, it's Mars. Mars is action. The sun is our, it's the trading markets, it's the people, it's the crypto coins in particular. And who else is involved? Lilith is involved. That's an energy. That's not a planet. It's just a point in the sky that has to do with the moon. But all of these energies are just creating this thick tension in the air that will likely push the prices down, keep the prices down. Think of it as you're in a house and you're locking all the doors and the windows, and there's a storm outside, but the storm can't get in because you have, everything locked in and closed. It's similar to that. Nothing can get in, nothing can break through, but it's just radiating and it's like infecting the rest of the market with these challenging energies. Maybe a house wasn't a good example, but anyways, it's just a very challenging period for the market, and we can look at that along with the full moon, because the new moon and the full moon usually indicates a high point of the market, and the full moon usually indicates a lower point of the market. If you look at a chart, you can put the moon cycle on a trading chart, and you can see, it goes up towards the new moon, and then it usually comes down towards the full moon. Usually, not all the time, but usually this occurs. So the fact that
Right.
this is occurring, this challenging energy is occurring at the full moon when the energies and the market is moving downwards towards its lowest period of the month or the cycle is also a significator that the trend of a challenging lower point in the market will likely continue with these energies.
Okay. Now, just the new moon, does it mean that the market, that Bitcoin's going to fall? Does it fall before or after the new moon? Sorry, the full moon, and does it rise with the new moon?
Usually, I would say a day or two before the new moon, because the energy of the moon, or even any planet, when it's coming into, we'll take the moon, it's coming into a new moon, it doesn't just happen, say the new moon happens at 7 o'clock on a Sunday on, April 5th. It doesn't just happen right then and there, because the energy is constantly in motion. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. So
Thank you
the
again.
energy is
Look forward to
continuously
speaking to you.
moving forward. So
All
the
the best.
energy,
Bye-bye.
there's like a build up to it. Thank you. 2 or 3 days beforehand, and then the energy subsides and moves away. So there's usually is the key word there, the energy starts to rise up, build up with this newness. It's creating a new cycle, newness. And so for a full moon, it's usually the same thing. 2 days before, the energy is building. So sometimes you feel the most tension in the market, or see the market starting to come down from where they rose up to. And usually it lasts about 2 or 3 days afterwards is the strongest intensity of the energies surrounding the new and full moon. So you can see like the biggest increase or decrease of the markets. And sometimes it's reversed. Sometimes the new moon is the lowest period, and sometimes the full moon is the highest period. But because the moon rules the tides, the waters, us, the people, the traders, and we're made 80%, 70% of water, it rules us and our emotions. That's why it has the biggest influence during these periods as well.
Okay. Okay, interesting. And then you're saying around about April the 16th, we're going to see a dip in the market. So does that mean afterwards it's going to start rising?
Well, this energy lasts a good week. Again, energy is constantly in motion, so you could possibly see the markets start to deteriorate before the 16th. There's other planetary influences that could amplify this energy or decrease this energy, but I would say look out for around the 14th through the end of April to have a challenging time period. I'm not going to pinpoint an exact day where it's going to go down, because the energies, because of okay, we're going to go back to Neptune. I know I've been harping on this, but because of Neptune moving into Aries has changed the dynamics of the energies of the planets and how it's influencing everything. So with that dynamic changing...
Hold on a second. Let me just stop here for a second, right? To try and make sense of this for myself and for others. And this is really from the conversation that I've had with you. And also, I'm curious, and I listen to other astrologers on YouTube and stuff, and I'm like, okay, how does this work? A bit like I did when I was coming across Bitcoin and gold and silver. Like, okay, how does this work? What is this? What is this thing? So the outer planets, Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune, and Pluto are actually not so much Saturn and Jupiter. Wait, Saturn? Yeah, but Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and Jupiter are much, much slower moving.
Correct, yeah.
And they have big long-term effects on the rest of the solar system.
Yes.
So when Neptune moves, it's a big from one sign to another. It's a big deal.
Right. Correct. Yes, it is. It also, Neptune also rules things that aren't physical. So your mind, just things that don't make sense. As why is this happening? Why is this occurring? Just the mental, how you, I don't want to say how you think so much, but yeah, how you think, how you it's just things that are not physically, that do not make sense. Neptune rules. It's water energy. So spirituality, that is also it has to do with Neptune. So how people, I guess, their philosophy on life is influenced, and if that is influenced and changing, it's going to have a large shift as well on all people in society, creating like movements, create societal movements, Neptune. So it just creates these shifts within the larger society, but it's also affecting you on a personal level within that. And again, it rules the things that you can't see, so you can't make sense of it. Like, why is this happening? You know, why is suddenly the fashion, you know, I don't know, cowboy hats and you know, stretch pants or something like that again? It just rules things that you just don't understand.
That's right. Now, just to make it, I think, a bit more pertinent to our listeners, why in India all of a sudden is everybody wearing stretch pants and cowboy hats?
Yeah.
Not that they are, right? But if it were to happen all of a sudden, people are like, what's going on here? Yaar, ye kya ho raha hai?
Yeah.
All right. Which means, what is happening here? All right. So, okay, so Neptune rules that. Please carry on.
That's my train of thought.
Well done me, right?
I completely lost my train of thought.
Okay, so you're talking about this dip could last for about a week or so.
Oh, okay, yes.
And the
Yeah.
influence that Neptune has by going into Aries. Aries is all about action.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, I know where I was now. Okay, so with
okay.
Neptune moving, changing signs, it's changing the dynamics of how the planets talk to each other, how they influence each other, and how they speak to each other is influencing people and how their reactions and actions towards things occur, along with the markets, the trading markets. You know, your emotions are heightened, you're nervous or scared, you're likely going to, you know, you pull out of your position or change, you know, or panic sell or panic buy, whatever it is. So it's just changing the dynamics of the planets, of the energies and their influence. So with this challenging square that's occurring, it's just, I don't like to pinpoint an exact date because of the changing dynamics of Neptune. It's just, it seems to have shifted and make things occur that don't make sense, that would normally be like, okay, this transit's happening, these planets are talking to each other, this is going to happen with the market. But with Neptune changing to Aries, it's like it's made everything just not make sense. Like, wait a minute, that this was supposed to happen, but this is happening instead. So it's kind of throwing everything off in a sense.
Right. Okay. And then how's it going to play out in the crypto market for May, June, July, and what everybody wants to know, when Lambo?
Well, see, the rest of this year is just as, I want to say, chaotic. It's just as changing because we have other planets, other large, slower planets also changing signs. So we have Neptune that's changed one dynamic of the energy. Then in May we have Saturn moving into Aries. That's going to create another dynamic and build on top of Neptune. You know, that's going to really influence the government's military actions, reactions on a grand scale. That could play into these tariffs to an extent, or that could play into these tariffs. And then we have Jupiter and Uranus changing signs. So we have all of these things that are just up in the air, and dynamics changing, alliances, everything is changing and shifting. I think it's going to be a pretty wild ride from now through November. And I feel like it's just going to keep on ramping up each time a planet is changing into a new sign. It's going to create more of an intense dynamic, a different dynamic that will catch people off guard. And I feel it's going to influence the market in a way that people aren't either ready for, they weren't, they didn't see it coming. That's what I feel like is going to be a big quote. I didn't see this coming in the market. You know, this was happening. It was all going fantastically, and then suddenly, you know, the market just crashed. I didn't see that coming. I feel like it's going to be a big quote this year through November.
Yes, and I know I've picked up enough that Uranus is all about sudden changes, sudden surprising occurrences and changes. And I suppose if you had looked back, so if we'd gone back, say, a year ago or something, and then you'd looked at the chart and you'd say, okay, so Neptune and was it Saturn? You said are both going to be in Aries, in the sign of Aries. One's entering, the other's leaving, and that's, my understanding, is called a conjunct when you have one or more signs two or more signs in the same, two or more planets in the same sign,
Yes.
so that creates a particular energetic field that impacts us, then
Yes.
you would have been able to tell, say, a year ago, okay, it's going to get chaotic
Yes.
come
Yes.
2025, and then you can plan accordingly. Now,
Yes.
I'm gonna come back to this, right? But the question about when Lambo, it remains unanswered, because we've also got the Bitcoin 4-year cycle, which according to that, we're looking at, is it around 35, 36 weeks, or a year? No, hold on a second, because my maths may be off here, but about a year and a half after the halving, what's happened in previous cycles is Bitcoin reaches its all-time high. So what we're looking at is our all-time highs around October, November. Now that's the 4-year cycle. Now, is that bigger than the astrological cycles? Does it get shaped by the astrological cycles? When Lambo?
That's the $1,000,000 question. Yes,
Lambo question.
I do feel like it does get shaped. I feel like it shapes how the bull market, bull runner plays out. You know, you have people's anticipation of it happening, so that's one aspect of it. People are already anticipating it, and they're putting thought and belief into it. So that's one aspect of it. So I feel like that is shaped how it plays out, how the market moves, how it reacts and acts during that period is shaped by astrology. And October, November, that could be when when it does occur, for the fact that the planets that have moved into these new signs will be back in their signs that they're in now, that they started in, because they're all retrograding, meaning they move backwards, but they're all moving back into the signs that they started in before they moved. So that could be when people feel more like, oh, it's back to normal now. They feel a little bit more settled or secure in life, and to take chances and things.
Yeah, now it isn't for anybody who's just still, like myself, still learning about astrology or new to it. It doesn't. When planets are retrograde, they move backwards. It doesn't mean they actually move backwards.
Right. Yes.
But it looks like to us that they're moving backwards.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. So we're still looking at October, November, all-time high for Bitcoin.
Yeah. Again, what I've learned with this new moon and the full moon and the eclipses is that things are different now, and it is hard to pinpoint what has occurred in the past. Does not mean the same will occur in the present and the future. So it is. I feel it's still up in the air. I feel there's so much that will occur between now and October and November, and depending on what has happened, what has been started and occurred from all these changing planets, will also dictate what happens in November and October.
Okay. And then, without giving financial advice, and what you actually said was actually really great. How it's been in the past ain't necessarily, it's no indication
Yeah.
of future performance, right? It's very, very smart. But given the uncertainty, the volatility, the political chaos, the economic chaos, the financial chaos, what should people do? What can they do that's going to give them some chance
But they can.
to prepare?
You can. I mean, I feel like the chaos is also a great time to capitalize on the dynamics of the market, because during periods of chaos is when the most movement happens in the market. You know, it goes pushed up, down, whatever way it's going, it's moves the most percentage during the chaotic period. So you can look at the astrology to anticipate, or just keep a watch on the markets for big drops, big increases for your sells and buys. There are a lot of opportunities within this market. I would not suggest to take out futures, perhaps, because you could get wiped out if those don't work out, or longs or shorts. But keeping something on the side to trade with or buy or sell with, I think would be the best advice to give. Again, not opening positions, but just keeping an eye on the markets, having something on the side ready to go to buy or sell would be the best advice. Not financial advice, but it'd be the best way to go in this climate.
Yes, have something on the side, right? It isn't financial advice. And I think, personally, this is my opinion, right? I think gold, silver, Bitcoin,
Yep.
I think you can't go wrong with them over
Right.
time.
Yeah,
You really can't.
you can't. No, and I feel like gold and silver, especially because it is, it's been around for a long time, but I feel like people are going to fall back to that crypto as well, but gold and silver because it is it's a physical item, and people will find security in something that they are familiar with. They know about it. They know it's here. It's not going anywhere. They can see it. They can feel it. They can touch it. And that could bring people more of a sense of security with their investments.
Yeah, and then I think also it's tried and tested.
Yeah.
In times of crisis, people turn to gold.
Yep.
And when they can't afford gold, they turn to silver.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been the case for thousands and thousands of years. And Bitcoin, wonderful as it is the new kid on the block.
Yep.
Right? So, I mean, I think it will prevail.
Yes.
And it's great, but it doesn't have the history that gold and silver have.
Right. Yeah.
And so I don't know if it's the case now, because I think China may have something like over 40,000 tons of gold, the Chinese government. Right, but that's not official. They keep it quiet.
Yeah.
Right? They keep it quiet.
They keep a lot of things quiet, as the rest of the countries do as well.
Yeah, which would be a smart thing to do, because if China were to publicly declare that they had 40,000 tons of gold, then it would crash the entire currency markets, and the price of gold will shoot through the roof, and then they wouldn't be able to keep buying it.
Yeah.
But I think the largest holders of gold in the world, perhaps not as big as China, are Indians.
Yeah. So what? Because of the wearable wealth and.
Yeah, wearable wealth, and all they want is 24 karat. This 18 karat nonsense that we put up with in the West. That ain't gold.
Yeah.
That's like what are you talking about, right? And that's same in Pakistan and Bangladesh and India. All those people, they hold more gold than most central banks.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can't go wrong with gold and silver.
Yeah, they'll be the winners in the end when everything is all said and done.
Yes, and the thing about silver hasn't reached its all-time highs yet.
No.
I looked at the chart yesterday. I don't know what it is right now, but it's about $24, $25, and the all-time high is $50. So people might want to go and get some silver. Not financial advice. And you'll get a nice little, what's predictable is a nice little return. And maybe at some point in the future on this X Space, I'm going to have a gold and silver expert on to talk about the value of those, because although the coinrepublic.com is a cryptocurrency newspaper, website, cryptocurrencies are part of the financial world. So we're affected by what goes on in the world of finance, and the ultimate form of money is gold. It all goes back to gold.
Yep.
And silver, well, that's the poor man's gold. That'll do. That'll do. Okay. Now, I just want to say one thing, Lauren, before we finish up, and then which is, I recorded a video with you, I think back in September or August last year, and Bitcoin was sort of flatlining around 70,000 or something, and I asked you, when's it going to start going up? And you said end of October, and you called it, because that was when it was after October. It reached the all-time highs and breached $100,000.
Right. Yes.
So that really, really worked. And now we got Bitcoin lolling about low 80,000 or whatever. And I think what you're saying is after April, it could move up, but it's going to be a rocky time.
Yeah. I'm currently right now writing up my report for the next 3 months, so I cannot give you a concrete answer on that, because I'm just started June at this moment. So, but I do again. I it's going to be a rocky road. It's going to be an unexpected twists and turns, and just have something on the side ready to buy, sell, just for those opportune moments when they do arise, because they will arise.
Okay, and your newsletter is for your Patreons?
Yes, I have Patreon, and you can come there, join, and you get the newsletter and access to Discord, where we can discuss all of this. And I do provide updates there on my Discord of different transits and things that I see.
Fabulous. Okay, well, people can find you at iCrypto.
Yep, that's right. Yes.
Yeah. And the other thing, just to say that you do, apart from astrology, if people want to have coaching just about crypto, like how to set up a crypto wallet or how to use a particular exchange or something like that, you also offer that pure crypto consultancy.
Right. Yep. And if you have different issues with crypto, whether it's your wallet, whether you have a node, or any other issues you have, because people have come to me with very unique, different situations, I help you with that as well, if I can. And if I can't, I let you know. But I offer a free 15-minute consultation where you just tell me about what's going on and we talk about it, and then we go from there.
Great, fabulous. And do you know the other thing that I just want to acknowledge, and I don't think I've ever said this to you before, but it's suddenly realized, right? You are a woman in crypto. There aren't many women in crypto, and you are a woman in crypto, which I think is great, and great for, I suppose, for women coming into crypto. They don't have to put up with idiot men like me. But you've got the wisdom of womanhood and astrology through the eons that you can access via Lauren at iCrypto_consult. Lauren, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. This was great.
Thank you to the coinrepublic.com for hosting this.